This is kind of weird. Elliotte Friedman has just reported on Twitter that he's hearing Vancouver has extended general manager Jim Benning. He was heading into the final season of his contract. Now that is weird. Weird. Interesting. Jim Benning hasn't been amazing as a general manager. He certainly has had his bad moments. He's had his good moments. He's had some really good drafted players. But for the most part, Benning as a general manager hasn't been somebody that I can say deserves an A+ in his tenure here. Some of the trades were questionable. Some of the free agent signings were questionable. But I think this season, where Benning was in his last season in his contract, now again, we don't know how long this extension is for. This is all that Friedman tweeted. I'll post a bit of a update, I guess, in the comments once an update comes. But this last season here was one more opportunity for Benning to make the playoffs, because he's been with the Canucks for about 5 years now. He started at the end of 2014, the end of the 2013-14 season, and he's been here ever since. In that 5-year span, he's only made the playoffs once. Sure, we have a great core of young futures, but we do have players that haven't necessarily been put in amazing positions on this team. Brendan Sutter's on a bad deal. Louis Eriksson is on a terrible deal. Tyler Myers, you could say what you want about the deal. In a few years, that's going to be a bad one. And we do have some good pieces. Horvat, Pettersson, Hughes, Besser. Besser's not in the contract yet, but he will most likely be on a pretty okay contract. Horvat is on a great contract. Hughes, Petey, and Podkolzin, these guys are going to get signed to big contracts later down the line. But what most people saw when they looked at this season was a season where Benning had to make the playoffs or else he would be fired. Which is why last season, at the end of the trade deadline and at the end of the draft and everything, we went and we did things. Myers, Ferland, Miller, Ben, Fantenberg, these guys were all added because they were supposed to make our team that much better to make the playoffs. And if this last season wasn't a playoff season, then Benning would be released and the Canucks would have somebody else running the team. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like a Benning extension is the best thing in the world. Sure, I've been mostly pro-Canucks, pro-Benning in these videos for the sake of being positive and for the sake of showing the good side of things. That's what I've usually been about. But this is a really weird move. Now, you could have a few different perspectives on a move like this. Why would you do this now? Okay, first off, maybe this is an incentive to make sure that if Benning is a few points out of the playoffs at the trade deadline, this is the incentive for him to not trade away a Podkolzin for some aging vet to push us into the playoffs because he's quote-unquote trying to save his job. Maybe this is the incentive that allows Benning to sit here and say, okay, if the team isn't amazing, we can sit back with another year of lottery positions. But the perspective to combat that is, I'm not sure why we needed to do this now. I think if we wanted to give Benning incentive to stay and keep the team as it is going slowly forward, why didn't we just extend him 30 games, 40 games into the season when we already have an idea of what the team is going to be like? If this team absolutely tanks, this team sucks right out of the gate, we go 0-10 and it doesn't look like we're going to be better, what happens then? Now, I'll give you that's an unrealistic situation, but bear with me. If Benning does not have the security of his job next season, what does he do? He goes out, he trades, he makes the team immediately better now. But if Benning has a future guaranteed in this city, he waits it out. like he always has. He hasn't necessarily been in a position to make moves out of desperation in the past up until this most recent draft. And if we sit back another year, then that's another year without the playoffs. Sure, that sounds great because I love the 2020 draft, but idealistically, after making a push this big, in acquiring the guys that we did, I don't see the point in guaranteeing Benning a future this early on into the season. It would have made sense to me to sit back a little bit and extend him later on, but right now we have a guarantee that he's going to be here, at least according to Elliotte Friedman. But you know, whatever happens, happens. I like having Benning here for the drafts because the drafts are very, very good when Benning is around. At least the skill guys, they're very, very good. We'll see how this team performs on paper once the season starts, but for now it looks like Benning is coming back. So comment down what you think in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed this video. So 9, and bye.